regards to diabetes. So we thought that we all are, in some ways, I think we need guidance. It's true that God is there, but also we need guidance. So I assume I'm not going to speak that much, and I'm going to hand over to Tembi. So let us see what the Lord is saying to us, really, through what Tembi is saying to us. So Tembi, thank you very much.
Thank you. Thank you, Fisri. So, shall I start? No, I don't want to start. Because I want us to just be in this group and just have a nice discussion. So it's going to be really interactive because we're just going to go through various sections and we're going to talk through that. But I thought just before we start, it would be really nice if we just went around and I just thought if we went around and everybody just introduce yourself and just say a little bit about what you think you would like us to cover today or what you think would be good. And then also we'll try and fit that in to what we'll be talking about as well. So, and also like the other thing that's really important to me is just, I want us to be, as open as possible. For me, I'll start and just talk a little bit about myself. So the reason why I kind of got into health and well-being and diabetes and thinking about all these things was because my mother at a very young age was diagnosed with gestational diabetes. She went on to develop type 2 diabetes, heart failure, high blood pressure, and had, quite a painful death actually in the end. And I thought, well, that really interested me and it piqued my interest. My dad also had hypertension and suffered from that quite significantly. Essential hypertension that wasn't really treatable, they couldn't treat it. So that made me really interested, because my dad is also late, that made me really interested to understand what the problem was and why this was such an issue. Again as well, the eruption of diabetes everywhere, my whole family, a lot, 3/4 of them have got diabetes. And I just realized that if I didn't do something, it would be just a matter of time before I had either hypertension, either diabetes, everything. So this is why I really thought I wanted to learn more and to help others going forward. So that's really about me, because I just decided, wow, I didn't really want to walk down that same road that my mother walked down, that my dad walked down, and that my relatives are walking even today, and my friends. And so you're my friends here as well. So that's really, that's me. So today I'm hoping to really share something that would be useful to you, that you can take away, practical tips that you can use going forward. So, Mel?
Hi guys, I'm not here to receive anything particular, but I'm just interested to hear what you have to say. So I'm willing to receive any information.
Good.
Hello, I'm Zoe. I'm here to support Tembi because I read her book that she actually wrote, a navigation guide diabetes book, and I haven't really read a book in a long time. But I felt encouraged by Tembi's passion once when she talked about diabetes in church, and I felt like, I want to read her book. And I was really not disappointed. It was really packed with lots of things, and it was very easy to read. And I remember one thing that I took from the whole thing was that you're in charge of your own health and your own well-being, and I thought that's so true, because even now, for instance, when I go and have a blood test, I ask the doctor, what was my blood test? You know how they say everything is fine, we won't call you, but now I actually ask, what was my sugar? What was my, urine? They just tell you very vaguely, because we kind of are never really told a lot of things. Like maybe you're just off the margin of catching diabetes. Like you'd rather know what your score is or where your cholesterol levels are. But after reading Tembi's book, I was really kind of motivated to start asking those kind of questions. So even though her book was only covering diabetes, it actually made me think I am in charge of my own health, and I can actually shape how I will age or get older if I start being a little bit more careful now and not just binging on my Kelly's Clotted Cream, which I still love. Tembi, I swear I'm trying not to take it. But, so I'm just here really because I really believe in what Tembi is doing and and our passion for her, diabetes is not just a job, it's actually like a calling. So yes, I'm also here to learn more because you can never learn, enough.
Thank you, Chloe.
I'm Chris, Tembi's husband. I'm in a supportive role.
Well done.
I'm the healthiest person here.
I'm Anthony, and I've come with an open mind. Probably wouldn't have been here, but something happened, so I got the opportunity, so take it.
Good. Bring up the slides for me, please. Am I in your way? So I just put a little slideshow together just for us to talk a little bit about health and well-being and what it means. And this is one, so this is going forward, isn't it? How do I point this? Okay. All right, so this is one of 3 sessions that we're doing today. And it's session 1 today. We're going to look at physical health and well-being, so maybe we'll answer some of the questions that you had. And then session 2, which will be next month, will be mental health and well-being. And then session 3, we're going to be looking at making lasting changes, how you can maintain something about behavior change, how you can maintain any changes that you need to make. So who of you had a New Year's resolution? Who had a New Year resolution? Who had a New Year resolution?
No, we never stick to them.
Yes.
I had one. Anyone else had a New Year's
I would
resolution?
say it, but
Yeah.
Yeah.
Do you?
Money involved money.
Yeah. Yeah. Anyone else had a New Year resolution? No. Okay. Well, most of the time I had a New Year's resolution, but if you ask me what it is, I can't remember. And we're only not even halfway into the year. I can't remember it. Yeah?
it was.
And Chipo, do you remember yours?
Well, yes, it was to save more.
Okay. And have you done that?
Yes,
Yeah.
Holidays,
Okay, so for the most part though, we all we think about or we plan, I want to get better at things. And really what these 3 sessions are trying to do is when you think about New Year's resolutions, like mine was, I want to lose weight, and I want to be better at do some more writing, or I want to read my Bible more, I want to learn more, I want to be closer to God. So if you think about those resolutions, you can see that they fall into those 3 categories in a way. Like I want to be better, I want to lose weight, so my health gets better. So I want to save because I want to be able to do more with my family, so I want to do some changes, I want to make some behavior changes, or I want to move around, or I don't want to have diabetes, or these are all, they fit into those 3 main categories. So, but, oh gosh, did I go the wrong way? Okay, there we are. So that's the agenda. You can't see it very well for today. So we want to understand what health and well-being is, and then we want to talk about physical health and your body systems explored. And then we're going to be talking about supporting normal body function and goal setting, and any questions that you might have. So what is health and well-being? So health and well-being, the World Health Organization says that it's being in sound mind, body and spirit. And it's not merely an absence of disease, but it's a sense of wellness, physical and social well-being. And then well-being is purposeful and enjoyable living, a deliberate lifestyle characterized by personal responsibility and optimal enhancement of physical, spiritual, and mental health. And so health and well-being put together is talking about wholeness. And this wholeness is on every front. So physical, spiritual, and mental. So when we think about that, we think, what does the Bible actually say about health and well-being? What does God have to say about that? And we talk about the body as well as having 7 main systems, which all come a part of this health and well-being. So, I keep going the wrong way. So in physical health, your body systems are, as you can see there, digestive, respiratory, nervous, circulatory, skeletal, muscular, and endocrine. So thinking about them as well.
What's endocrine?
Endocrine. I'm going to tell you in a minute. Good. That's a good question. I'll tell you in a minute. But I wanted to just do that in terms of of what the Bible actually says and how all of this links together actually. So in 3 John 1 and 2, I think it is, it talks about, my people, I hope you prosper and be in good health, just as your soul prospers. So thinking about that, what does that mean in terms of the body? It's saying that the body is actually interlinked. So your mind, just as your mind prospers, your health, the Bible wants you to be, God wants you to be in health, just as your body prospers in your mind. So here we're talking about the interconnectedness of the whole body. The physical, the spiritual, and the mental, and all of these body systems. In the West, we talk about these systems as being very separate. We talk about blood pressure, we talk about mental health, we talk about physical health, we talk about, say, your endocrine system, which is your hormones, your adrenal glands, your pancreas, everything that controls the hormonal system or the hormonal side of your body. All of that is your endocrine system. And we have people that specialize only in endocrine. Then we've got people that only specialize in digestive. They just look at the stomach. How is your stomach working? How is everything going? Is everything okay? And then we've got people that only specialize in respiratory. So they only look at your lungs. How are you breathing? How is everything going with that? We've got the nervous system. How is the nervous system working? Is everything, can you feel your feet? Can you do, feel with your fingers? Or is everything going together with your nervous system? Circulatory, which is your blood pressure and how your body pumps and all of that, the blood around, how your heart pumps the blood around the body. Skeletal is your skeleton and how that holds everything together. Muscular is your musculature across your body. And those 7 systems, but we need to think about the body as one whole. We need to think about the body as one whole, and that one whole is not, it's got these separate systems in them, but we need to bring them all together into a basket. Just have a basket in front of you and say, all of these systems work together. And the fact that they work together means we cannot separate them. Because if you have high cholesterol, for example, it's a matter of time before you have high blood pressure, before you have type 2 diabetes or you have pre-diabetes. Why? Because all these systems sit on each other and they all link together. The other thing that really talks about the interconnectedness is about the, when you think about if you're nervous and, a bit like me now, if you're nervous, you suddenly feel butterflies in your stomach, don't you? You feel butterflies in your stomach. And you feel like, ooh, my heart is racing and I just don't feel okay. And that's because your vagus nerve from your nervous system is sending signals to your stomach to say, I don't feel very good. And your stomach is responding to that vagus nerve with the butterflies and you feeling not so good. And so if you then eat something when you're stressed or you're bothered, then what happens is that vagus nerve is saying to your digestive system, stop working. You don't need to keep working right now. You need to focus on getting this person feeling better. So it's working on the butterflies and doing all of these things. That's why when you eat a meal and you don't feel good, you feel sick afterwards, or you don't feel so good, or your food doesn't digest. So a stressed body will not digest food properly. And so even the nutrients that you get, if you eat, your nutrients are not getting into the right place. And this is why we've now uncovered the fact that there's the link between the brain and your stomach. Because of these things, that when you're stressed, it affects that. So this is what we're talking about, that all of it is linked together, because even though, you go to someone and you say, well, I've got problems with indigestion, and they'll say, okay, here's a pill, I'll give you lansoprazole, or I'll give you omeprazole, or I'll give you this. But actually, what is it that's driving the problem? Because it's not just about, well, stop the acid from forming. What's creating the acid in the first place? So it's thinking about the medicine from a different perspective, because we've tried to do that. In Chinese medicine, they look at everything holistically. They try and say, if there's something wrong with your digestive system, there's a blockage somewhere. And that blockage is stopping the flow and stopping things from working properly. But we just look at it and say, well, if I take this tablet, then that's going to solve the problem. That's going to do, but actually, we need to go back to the systems, just as God created us. Because as God said in Genesis 1:26, he said, let us make man in our image and in our likeness. So in that, he's saying that we are a total body. We have everything that we need within the body to work properly. So the body systems actually are dependent on each other. Okay. So in terms of supporting the normal body function, how do we do that? So there's 4 pillars of health. And the 4 pillars of health are food, sleep, movement, and relaxation. These are the 4 pillars of health that contribute to your health and well-being. But how do we get around this, and how do we support the body to be in its best state? So I thought we'd start with food, which is one of the things that we spoke about. We'd start with food. So when we look at food, we've got a plate method. So we're using a plate method to actually say, well, what should your meals look like? So your meals really on a daily basis should look like this. And what does that mean? So it means you've got your vegetables there, you've got protein, healthy fats, and carbohydrates. So that is a balanced meal if you have all of that. Now, the problem that we have is that about 30 years ago, we adopted American guidelines. And the American guidelines said, eat like this. They said, eat like that. They said, have a high carbohydrate diet, low fat, a little bit of protein, and vegetables if you can. But this is what they've recommended, and this is what we've been teaching people to eat. And this is how most people eat. So the first thing on their plate is the carbs. Yeah, and then you add everything else around it. I know where we come from. We make this thing. We put it's like a porridge. You put it first on the plate, and then you add everything else. And sometimes there's no vegetables, and sometimes it's just some meat. And even the fats that we use sometimes have got no name. They're just vegetable oil, or we call it super refined cooking oil. Super refined olivine. It's part of olivine, but it's super refined, and that's the best. So that's how we cook the food. But for most people, carbohydrates is the base of the meal, and the protein cooked in unhealthy fats, and the vegetables also cooked in unhealthy fats, and sometimes overcooked as well. So what should we do? So because this is where we are now, and the idea was that fats are bad. You shouldn't eat fats because fats contribute to cholesterol. You shouldn't eat eggs because eggs contribute to cholesterol. These are a few of the myths that are around that people have been, talking about quite a lot. And because as soon as you say to someone, well, eat more fats, they're like, what? But my cholesterol will go up, and I have got high cholesterol. So those are some of the things we're going to address today. So what should you do? So in terms of your food, we want to plan the plate like this. So if you had your plate, you're going to divide your plate into half. The first half of the plate is going to be above ground vegetables. Now, if you go into Tesco, into Lidl, into any supermarket, they've got it laid out for you 100%. If you walk into like our Tesco here in Purley, if you go, I think it's third or fourth aisle as you go in, you'll see a row of spinach, cauliflower, broccoli, kale, cabbage, all on one side. So you'll know. When you see it, you see that row, you know. Then they've got another aisle that's got tomatoes and herbs. And then they've got a bit of, on the other aisle, they've got all the salad greens. So your cucumbers, your peppers, all of that. So they've laid it out for you nicely. So you'll see it, all your greens will be on one side. And then when you go to the other aisle, in our Tesco here in Purley, you'll see sweet potatoes at the front of the thing. And then as you walk around, so they've got the densest vegetables at the front. So as you walk into the supermarket, you'll be able to see this. But above ground vegetables are all the leafy greens, the peppers, the greens, all of that. So that's what needs to go into your plate first. And it doesn't have to be salad. You can make a stir fry, you can do anything you want, but you know, just put that first on the plate. Then the next thing that goes on your plate is protein. So chicken, eggs, fish, that's the other first quarter. Yeah? And then, you know, is anyone vegetarian here? Okay, so if you're vegetarian, then your protein, what would you generally eat as your protein? Would it be pulses?
Yes.
Yeah. And what else? Lentils, blood beans, yeah, and nuts. Okay, good. Okay, so in terms of the proteins, nuts, legumes, pulses, you can count them into the proteins, but you also need to count them as a sugar because they fall into the carbohydrate category. So even though they're there, you probably need to balance it out in terms of how much of that you have with the rice. So, because before I used to, okay, let me go to this one next. And then, so the last bit of your plate is going to be healthy fats. So you need to include some healthy fats. And then the carbohydrates, can you see how small the carbohydrates are and how different this plate is to that plate I showed you first? So the carbohydrates need to be the smallest thing on the plate, and then you've got the healthy fats. So in terms of the proteins, in terms of the carbohydrates, it's key. The reason why carbohydrates are key is because they drive a lot of the problems that happen within the body. And I know we're not talking about diabetes, just diabetes, but I'm talking about cholesterol as well. I'm talking about high blood pressure. Why? Because they do eating a lot of carbohydrates causes your blood sugar to go up. And when the blood sugar goes up, then it creates, it causes your body to create hormones that cause insulin resistance. I'll explain it a little bit further on as well as we go along. But that's what your plate should look like once you've added. So let's talk about what healthy fats are. I've talked about above ground vegetables, so you know now. A protein, you know, chicken, eggs, and fish, and the beans and lentils. But, for example, I used to have sweet potato and lentil curry with rice. So that is 3 sugars, right? The sweet potato is a sugar, the lentil is a sugar, and the rice is a sugar. So that's not to say you shouldn't eat it, but it's just to say that you reduce the quantity of all of those components so that you're not ending up with a lot of starches in your food. So it's about thinking about which foods are actually affecting. And the reason why it's a problem as well with the carbohydrates is because the way that they're processed, when you eat carbohydrates, your blood sugar goes up. When your blood sugar goes up, it goes via the liver. So it goes via the liver. When it goes via the liver, it's turned into like fatty acids, if you like. So it's turned into some kind of fatty acid. And those are then spread around the body and they're stored as fat. But that process in itself and that storage is what drives cholesterol. Because cholesterol is to do with stored fats and it's to do with how the food is actually processed. If you eat fats, so fats like olive oil, goose fat, lard, coconut oil, ghee, all of these fats, or hazelnut oil or avocado oil, any of the fats that are unprocessed fats, then your body is able to use that better. So fats like butter or fats like butter is good, cream is good, all the dairy, the natural dairy as it's occurring is able for the body is able to process that much better than the fats that are man-made. And the reason is because the way that they're processed, they create that same problem. And that's why we say to people, don't eat processed food. We want you to try and not eat processed food. And the reason is because the fats that are contained within those foods and the way that those foods are processed creates problems in that they are turned into these fats, these bad fats, or contribute to the bad cholesterol. And the bad cholesterol is what we're trying to bring down. So eating any ready-made foods needs to be something that we reduce. Sorry, I just need to get some tissue. So coming back, so with the healthy fats, you understand now, right, that you need in your diet to have the healthy fats. And the reason you need the healthy fats is because they help to slow down your digestive process. So they actually stop the sugars from being absorbed really quickly. So, go on.
Tembi, can I ask something? If you cook something like rapeseed oil, is that considered a healthy fat?
Yes. So you can use rapeseed oil or grapeseed oil, but the oils that we don't want is corn oil, canola oil, and because if you think about canola oil or corn oil, how much fat can you really get out of corn? You know, all of these are industrially processed fats, and industrially processed fats have got a problem in that it's very difficult for the body to process it. And the thing we've also said people to eat margarine or low-fat spreads. So we want to try and eat them as close. Because the thing is, if you think about margarine, it's processed in a lab and it's white. It's a hydrogenated fat. It's a man-made fat. And that fat is actually white, and then it's dyed yellow to become, to look like margarine. And so how dangerous is that? And also, these are the fats that are added, because they're cheap. These are the fats that are added to foods, ready-made foods, because they make them last longer. So they use them a lot because of that. So if you buy ready-made cakes, or you buy ready-made biscuits, or you buy anything, you're actually, or crisps or anything like that, what you're buying actually is those kind of fats and those kind of ingredients, because number one, they're cheap. Number two, they increase the shelf life of the food. I was looking recently at something and it said, I don't know what it was. Oh, somebody bought us at Christmas, they bought us a pudding, Christmas pudding. And the date on it was 2025. And I said, is that really food? How can something last that long and be okay for the human body? How does that work? So really it's about thinking about that, and even when you do buy, if you're eating your vegetables, and make sure you wash them thoroughly, because we have vegetables that are in the dirty dozen, and the dirty dozen means they're sprayed to death. So kale is one of them, and some of these others, there's quite a few vegetables, strawberries, these kind of things that are sprayed completely. They've got so many pesticides on them. Because they want them to survive. Like, I bought some kale, I must have had it for 3 weeks in my fridge, and it didn't even change color, nothing. It just remained the same green that it was as it was on the day I bought it. So that just shows you how much of preservatives and problems we have in the food chain. But that doesn't mean you shouldn't eat. It just means that you're going to be extra careful. You're going to wash your vegetables a little bit more, maybe, and just be careful, and maybe not eat too many of those vegetables, and maybe stick to different vegetables and just play around. So that's the problem we have with the food. And because of the preservatives as well, one of the problems with them is that they help you to hold on to excess body fat, if you like, because of the way that they are, the chemicals within them, the chemicals in the preservatives create a problem as well. So the more you can unprocess your diet and make sure that you eat foods as close to their natural state as possible, as much fiber as possible, that will help as well to get your body moving in the right direction. So, go on, Beth.
Sorry, what about frozen vegetables?
They're fine as well. You can have frozen vegetables.
You don't have to wash them.
You don't have to, well, you can. You can, you probably have to. You probably have to, because they've all got some kind of pesticide on them, isn't it? But frozen vegetables are a good alternative, because they're just stored as soon as they're
They're
kind
of blanched.
Exactly, they're just blanched, and then they're preserved quite well. So they're quite a good one, and they're cheaper as well, much better.
So if they're blanched, maybe the pesticides have been washed off?
Maybe it could be. It could be. I've never checked that, actually. That's a really good point. I've never checked that about the pesticides and what that means. So, talking about the carbohydrates now, I thought I'd give you this little thing. I don't know, you might not see it very well. But we've got starchy carbs and we've got sugars. So with the starchy carbs, a chapati there is a starchy carb, plantain, rice, and pulses. So those are starchy carbohydrates. Yeah, the pulses contain protein, but they also contain a lot of sugar. Okay, and so we've also, in sugars, we've got natural sugars. So these are naturally occurring sugars in the food. So natural sugars, is honey. So natural sugars is fruit. So whatever is found in fruit. So fruits contain fructose. And now, the problem with fruit, and the reason why we don't want people to eat a lot of fruits, is because they also contain fructose. Fructose, it goes via the liver and is converted directly into sugar that it goes in the bloodstream and is stored in the body. That's the problem with fruits. So with the fruits, we want to stick to berries, because berries don't have as much sugar and don't put the blood sugar up as much. Then we've got free sugars. So the free sugars is your table sugar and honey. And then unsweetened fruit juice. So a lot of people like to drink unsweetened fruit juice, but unsweetened fruit juice is very high in sugar, because you need 5 or 6 oranges to make a glass of fruit juice, whereas you'd only need, you can't eat more than 1 orange. You can't eat 6 oranges, can you? But you can drink it in the fruit juice. So that's why I would say not to have unsweetened fruit juice. I know we used to have an advert on the TV from Tropicana, I think, where they were saying, oh, how do you like your eggs in the morning or something, and then they bring this, and when you go on the plane, they give you a continental breakfast, and they give you bread, and they give you fruit juice, and then with the jam. So that whole breakfast on the plane is sugar, all of it. So, and then milk also contains lactose, which is a sugar. So, with milk, we always need to think about how much fat the milk has got, because the fat slows down the uptake of the sugar from the lactose, and also your body is able to process it. When you take away the fat from the sugar, so if you have red top milk or green top milk, when you take away the fat from it, it becomes a high sugar food. And the reason is because you're just left with the lactose. You've taken away the fat. So we generally say to people, try to have full fat milk and stay away from low fat milk, because, you know, and as well, it's as nature intended when you're getting it. I know it's homogenized and all of that, but it is as nature intended. So if you have milk, have full fat milk. If you can't tolerate milk, you can have, nut milks or these other milks you can get. But be careful with those as well, because when you look on the label, one of the things that that is, when you look at the label, you can see how much of the ingredient is in it. So next time when you look at a food label, if you want to see how much of the food is in there, so say they say it's almonds, if you want to see how much of almonds is in there, you look at where it's listed in the ingredients.
Yeah.
So the first thing that's listed on that milk is water, and then I think it's only 3% almonds. So the rest, so you're just paying really for flavored water. You might as well, if you have a blender, get 9 almonds and about 90 mils of water, soak it overnight, take off the skins in the morning, and then blend it, and you've got your almond milk. Put it through a sieve, and you can keep the rest of the, the stuff from the almonds, and you can use that for almond flour later or something. But at least you're getting the almond milk as it is, without too much water. So that's the thing with those processed milks, and also sometimes they add a lot of sugar to them. So just be mindful of that and look at the label.
Regarding milk, is there any advantage to that lactose-free milk? What does it mean? Does it make a difference?
Yeah, because some people are lactose intolerant, so they've taken away. Yeah, it's got less sugar. But really, the fact that it's been processed to that degree just makes me worry a bit, because if it's got no lactose, I suppose it then will be tolerable, because if you can't tolerate the milk. But then you can have the milk in other ways. You could have something like kefir, which the lactose has all been eaten out of it. But I suppose if you wanted something for your breakfast, you could have the lactose-free milk if you wanted to, if you couldn't tolerate.
So it wouldn't be helpful reducing sugar as such, no? Like taking away the lactose doesn't make it any healthier than the.
No, it would only be from the effect on your digestion.
Oh, okay.
So some people just it's intolerant, but not from the sugar side, but more from the digestive side, because then people can tolerate it better. And then jaggery as well. I mean, maybe, do you know jaggery? Yeah. Jerry, you know it. And jaggery as well, so I know. And a lot of people say, oh, they love honey because honey is very good. And honey is still sugar. Honey is still sugar, so you need to just be careful with it. Even if you get Manuka honey, because there's some Manuka, there's one from New Zealand. Yeah, the local honey is still a sugar. So just make sure you're not having a lot of it. And then if you think about banana, so the reason we don't want it, because fruits contain a lot of sugar. So you see that banana has got 3 teaspoons of sugar in it, 1 banana. So you need to be mindful of that, because that's really problematic. Whether it's green or white, it's 3 teaspoons of sugar, so it's quite a lot. And then, like a small naan bread, it's got 9 teaspoons of sugar. So it's quite a lot. So can you see that pasta? It's not that much pasta, is it? But look how much sugar is in there. 18 teaspoons of sugar in that pasta. It's not a lot of pasta.
Spaghetti.
The one at the top.
Is that spaghetti?
Yeah. 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 So it's 18 teaspoons of sugar, as you can see.
Even the whole wheat spaghetti?
Even the whole wheat spaghetti, because anything that's made with flour, bread, pasta, rice, are the things that will put the blood sugar up the most or have the most sugar. But that's the base of most people's meals, actually. Can you see the rice there? It's not that much rice. I think it's about, I can't see how much, I think it's about 250 grams of rice. But that's 15 teaspoons for that. And then, do you see that small pastry? Those of you that love Greg's, or the pastries. So that's 10 teaspoons of sugar in that small pastry. Yeah. And look at the rice just by itself. There's 14 teaspoons of sugar. And the chips, there's 13 teaspoons of sugar. And can you see those 2 slices of bread? There's 7 teaspoons of sugar in that bread. And that's white bread. Even if it's brown bread, it's going to be about 6, give or take. Because anything, as long as it's got flour in it and it's just understanding that some of the foods that we just pick up, because carbohydrates, you see, they're very nice, they're easy to deal with. You know, they're readily available. You can just have a slice of bread here if you feel hungry. You can have toast, you might have a sandwich. It's easy, you know, it's not stuff you have to start thinking about and preparing and doing all sorts of things. It's just really easily available. So that's why now we eat a lot of it. But it's because also, as I said, these American guidelines is what is the problem right now. And I think what's happened now is everybody is saying, well, we can't do this anymore because we've got an explosion of diabetes, high cholesterol, high blood pressure, and all the other things that go with it. And it's because of what we're actually eating that's creating these problems. So, in terms of your meals, what should you do? So, you know, for breakfast, you could have some eggs if you're not vegetarian, or you can have a full-fat yogurt. So with the yogurts, we need them to be full-fat yogurt. So to eat full-fat yogurt, because the reason why is the fat is what makes the yogurt thicken. But if you take away the fat, you're just left with something runny. So then they add cornstarch to it. So it becomes a high sugar food. So when you're picking your starch, your corn, you know, just think about that. Yeah, so just if you have the low fat yogurts, finish them, but then just get full fat next time as you go along. Only because, yes.
I eat fat-free yogurt. Yes.
Yeah.
Low-fat milk.
I know. But that's because we've said to people, eat low fat. And the reason we say low fat, and the reason why it works, why the cholesterol goes down initially, is because if you think about, if I eat, and let me use a black, if I eat carbs, my blood sugar goes up, right? And if the blood sugar goes up, that is converted into fat. Okay, or it goes via the liver, and it's turned into fat, and then it's stored, right, in the body. If you eat fats, they follow a different cycle. It's called a Krebs cycle. They follow a different cycle in terms of digestion. They turn into fatty acids, and those fatty acids can be used by the body as energy. But the difference with them is that, and if you eat a lot of fats, yes, they will get stored in the body, but the difference is that they don't create this problem where they might get stored here, but it's a different kind of fat. So if you eat nuts, or if you have olive oil, it's a different kind of fat that the body can break down very easily. You can lose weight if you stop eating nuts. I wanted to lose weight at the beginning of the year, and I thought, oh, I'm going to stop eating nuts for a while. And I stopped eating nuts, and the weight came off very easily. But if you have these kind of fats here, they're more difficult to break down and to get rid of in the body. It takes a lot longer, and because of the way that they're stored within the body. But when they say to you, oh, okay, you know, you need to lower your fats and everything, when you lower your fats, you reduce the fat storage here, and then your weight comes down. And when your weight comes down, the stored fat goes away. So when the stored fat goes away, then the cholesterol comes down. And they say to you, oh, well, your cholesterol's gone down because you took away the fats. But actually, the fats is not the problem. The problem is here with the carbs, because it's the way that they're processed and what happens to them when they're stored. Also, the other fats that I was talking about, the trans fats that are found in cakes and biscuits and pastries and all of these things, those are the ones, and crackers and all these kind of things. Those are the ones that create this problem because of the type of fat that they are. The body is not able to get rid of that fat. It stores it, and then it creates this problem with the cholesterol. So if you want to lower your cholesterol, you need to start increasing your fat intake, lower the carbs in order to get to where you need to get to. A few years ago, we didn't have all these problems where people were talking constantly about cholesterol and the blood pressure and all of this. We didn't have all of this. But we are where we are now because of what we're eating. And this is what's driving the problem. So, we want less of toast, bread, cereals, and bananas.
Have you got this written down somewhere? 'Cause I'm not. Oh my goodness. Bread flakes with banana and nuts. Bread flakes.
Yeah, all processed. All processed.
What do you suggest for people with kids? Because kids eat lots of cereals.
Yes.
How would you, or is it okay for kids? They've got a metabolism for
The
it.
kids have got the metabolism to use it, but I think we're also training the kids to have a very sweet tooth. That's the problem. Most of our children have got a really sweet tooth. So I think, with the kids, it's difficult. Because if you've already got them eating that, but you could give them porridge sometimes. So they don't unnecessarily have to have cereal like Cocoa Pops every day or cornflakes or something like that. You could try that for a little bit, or even some eggs sometimes, if they can tolerate that. But they might be okay with having a few eggs and things. Oh, okay. Sorry. I've been told that I've wasted time. I'm not taking too long. Anyway, and then for lunch you could have salads or chicken, cheese, beans, nuts, seeds, olive oil, coconut oil. You can use those. I'm just putting them there for you. And then you can have, less of bread, pasta, and rice. You could also have cauliflower rice, green vegetables, beans, meats, chicken and fish, and less of rice, bread, pasta, potatoes, yam, and plantain. And then try to avoid snacking if you can. Yeah. If you must, then you can have a piece of cheese, or you can have a few eggs or something, or you can have some nuts or something like that.
So cheese isn't bad for you then?
No.
I was told it was.
No.
So do you go for mature cheese or light cheese? Or?
Any cheese you want to have. Just go.
You mentioned bananas, and I always thought bananas were probably good for the nervous potassium.
Yeah.
But if it's
But they were got that
a
sugar.
ripe banana, is that got more sugar?
Even more, yes.
But if it's not ripe and it's fairly
Green,
green,
still.
is that probably better?
It's better, but it's still sugary.
It is still nice.
It is still. It is still. It is still. Okay.
So can we have one of those movement things put on paper to see every morning?
Yes, you can. So you can have, Derek, you can have tofu. I'm not sure about corn though, because it's quite processed, isn't it? Do you like that? As an alternative, I suppose, it's okay. Yeah. So the next one of those 4 pillars is movement. So we know that we need to exercise 30 minutes a day. Get out and have a walk, even if it's 10 minutes in the morning, 10 minutes at lunch, 10 minutes at dinner time or something after dinner. But usually the one after dinner is the best one actually, because you get to use your blood sugars, whatever you've eaten, more. Yeah, and then sleep. So sleep is really important because in a study that they did, they found that people that slept less than 4 to 6 hours developed pre-diabetes within just a few weeks. So that's how important sleep is. So sleep deprivation is a big problem. So we need to make sleep a priority, really, as much as possible. And then deal with the stressor if you've got any problems. So there we are. Those are the pillars: food, movement, sleep, and relaxation. We'll talk about relaxation in the next session. But I wanted to also talk about the measures, so the parameters that support this to a degree. Yeah, and those ones are blood sugar, cholesterol, and blood pressure. So let's go into those a little bit now. So with blood sugar, we use two different measures. We do a blood sugar on the spot check, but we also have the average blood sugar over the last 3 months. So the last 3 months, your red blood cells change every 3 months. And so when we take a sample of blood and we look at it, we can see how much glucose is stuck to the red blood cells. Because you know your red blood cells carry around oxygen, nutrients, glucose around the body. So when we look at it, we can see how much sugar is stuck to it. So if, say, your blood sugar is high, this is what your red blood cell is going to have, a lot of sugar stuck to it. So if your blood sugar is lower, it's going to have less. It'll be like that. So how much it sticks to it so that it's taken around the body. So that HbA1c is the one we use to diagnose diabetes, and is the one that we also use to say how well controlled is your blood sugar. So, and it's looking at the last 3 months, because of those red blood cells. So say you were very good in the first month of the 3 months before, and then in the last sort of 6 weeks of that, you started eating a lot of stuff and, whatever, didn't look after your diet. Those last 6 weeks are going to have the most profound effect on the HbA1c. So if you get sick or you have something wrong, then that's going to affect it quite a bit. So those are the HbA1cs, those are the numbers. So as you can see there, low risk is an HbA1c under 42. So from 41 and below is no diabetes. Then from 42 to 47 is high risk or pre-diabetes, so you're at risk of getting diabetes. And then 48 or above is high risk. So every time when you go to the GP, they say to you, well, I've done your blood sugar, and your blood sugar is high, Joan. How high is it? What is the number? Because you need to know how high that is. Because the height of that number will determine what action you need to take. So, for example, if it's between 42 and 47 and you're just at high risk of diabetes, well, you can just change your diet, do more exercise and do other things. But say it's 48 or above, or even, because from 48 and above, if you do have diabetes, because that's where we start counting diabetes. So between 48 and 53 is good control if you have diabetes. But from 54 to 60 is off target. And then if it's greater than 60, it's high. So you need to, when you look at your blood tests, you need to see where it fits in if you have diabetes, that is. If you don't have diabetes, if it's say 47, then you can do something about it. Then you know, wow, I'm just on the cusp. I need to do something. But if it's 42, then you know, okay, maybe I just need to change a few things. But when you have that information, you can make an informed decision as to, what actions do I want to take. Also, you need to make a decision. Do I really want the diabetes to go away? Or do I want to live with it? And then I just want to manage it as I go along. So some people, if you want to manage it and you need to be in this range. And these ranges also change depending on the age, if you have kidney disease or you have high blood pressure. All of this, and how frail you are. So some people are more frail than others. We have a young 50-year-old or we have an old 50-year-old. It just depends. We always categorize it like that. So when we talk about it, it's like, are you a young one or are you an old one? So that determines your frailty score, isn't it? Yeah. So blood pressure. So blood pressure is always two numbers. Do you know what those numbers are, what they mean? It's the pressure when your heart pumps the blood into the out of the heart into the aorta to go to the body. That's the first number. The second number is really when your heart is relaxed and refilling and coming back. So you can just say out and in. So the first top number is out, the second number is in, because it's coming back and it's the flowing of the blood. So usually the ideal range is about 140/80 for most people. If you have diabetes though, we're very strict. We want that to be 130/80 or slightly less. So and that's because people with diabetes have more risk of developing heart disease and things. Yeah, so that's why. But actually, I think people with diabetes are actually in a very good position because they're checked annually. Everything is checked annually to see, is everything okay? Are you doing well? Are you slipping up? What can we do to make things better? Cholesterol. So that's the big one that everybody talks about, cholesterol. So with the cholesterol is actually good, but it's just broken down into different categories. So there's good cholesterol, there's bad cholesterol. So the good cholesterol is very useful because it binds the bad cholesterol and gets it out of the body via the liver. So what we want is the good cholesterol to be winning, and the good cholesterol is HDL. So high density lipoprotein, so that's HDL. And then the bad cholesterol is the triglycerides and LDL. So those are the ones that we need to really focus on, and the non-HDL cholesterol. And that non-HDL cholesterol is just saying, what is the ratio between your good cholesterol and your bad cholesterol? Who's winning? If the bad cholesterol is winning, then that number is going to be higher. If the good cholesterol is winning, that number will be lower. And we want that number to be less than 3 when we're looking at the non-HDL, because that's what we're focusing on. The different people will say different things, but really generally it's the triglycerides is the bad cholesterol and the LDL. And those ones, always, whenever we see someone with a high cholesterol, we know that they either eat processed food, a lot of processed food, or they use processed fats, or eating a high carb diet. So if you want to get any of those, get those bad cholesterols down, it's reducing the carbohydrates, increase the healthy fats, and reduce the carbohydrates. Did I say that?
Yes.
I said it three times.
The process.
The process, and then reduce processed foods. So these also indicate the risk of heart disease. So usually they go hand in hand with the blood pressure, because with the blood pressure is not just about being overweight, but it's also to do with stress. So the more you're stressed, as we talked about that interlinking before, it's all linked together. The more stressed you are, the more your heart rate goes up, the more your blood pressure goes up, and the more it has a knock-on effect on everything else. And so it's really important to manage stress, and that's why we're going to really do one whole session about that, just to really look at mental health and how that really affects people a lot. So ideally the non-HDL cholesterol should be below 3.35. Actually we're going down to 3 now, because it's just saying that your good cholesterol is in charge and the bad cholesterol isn't. So the takeaways are eat foods as close to their natural state as possible. And by that is in making sure that you have a lot of fiber, because at the top of your stomach there's stretch receptors, and those stretch receptors are triggered by liquid and by fiber. If you have enough fiber, you can eat 20 bags of crisps. You will never feel full. You'll want more crisps. But if you have something with fiber, it helps your stomach. It helps you to trigger the fullness senses within your stomach. So you'll be able to control your diet more, including healthy fats. slows down the digestive process, so that if you have your meal and you include fats in there, the sugars from that food is not absorbed as quickly. So that's why I would say to someone, if you're going to eat in between meals, don't have like 2 or 3 satsumas by themselves or clementines by themselves in between meals, because that's just the sugar going straight into the bloodstream. What you need to do is to have the clementines after a meal. That way the sugar from them is not absorbed as quickly, because you've got all the other foods coming at the same time. Or if you're going to have them in between meals, then you need to have 1 or 2 satsumas with some cheese or something to go with it, or a tablespoon of nuts to stop it from being absorbed all at the same time. So including the healthy fats is really important. So just think about the kind of fats that you get, and just stay away from anything that's processed in a lab and all that. And then reducing the intake of simple carbohydrates, and we know what those are. Most people can say, sugar, honey, all of these, the simple sugars. So we need to reduce those as much as possible, don't have them as much. And the other problem is with these sugars as well, is they can dull, especially like with processed foods like biscuits, and they can dull your senses, actually, your taste buds, so that you can no longer taste the goodness in the other foods. So, if somebody gives you like vegetables, you're like, must I eat that again? Because your senses have been completely dulled to what you should be eating. But so you need to build your palate up again. And all of this takes a bit of kindness as well. It's not to go out, go home and just throw everything out of the cupboard, but be kind to yourself as well. And just do it like that, because, it's just. Because I used to have 4 teaspoons of sugar in my tea. Yeah, I used to have 4 teaspoons in there. But I started by having 3.5, and then I waited for a bit, and then I had 3, and then I waited. I didn't even count. It took me, and then I reduced it by just a half a spoon every time. It took me 8 months. But at the end of 8 months, I haven't had sugar now again. But because I just gradually, because think about all of these things as a marathon rather than a sprint. You don't have to sprint and go and clear the cupboard and do this and do this. And even if you were just to start with 1 meal or something like that, that would be good. So walk at least 30 minutes a day, even if you break it up into little bits, and then make sleep a priority and keep an eye on your parameters. Because the thing is, self-care is the new currency in this health economy. You have to be able to look after yourself. You have to be able to ask questions, leading questions. What is the blood sugar? Okay, so what is my blood pressure? Okay, you say I've got kidney disease. Where exactly? How did you calculate that? What is that? So where exactly? So what's the next steps for me? Okay, how far off am I from this position? I've got stage 4, okay, or I've got stage 1, or I've got this. Understand those numbers. And then, because when you're informed, you could take action. You could do something about it. And then, you're not just waiting around for somebody else to be in charge of your health, but you drive that yourself. There we are. So goal setting.
Tembi, can we do the goal setting after we have some tea
Sure.
or coffee?
Yes, of course.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Just a quick one. What about sweeteners, which I use them all. Go on.
So sweeteners, because they contain carbohydrates, they say they don't, but all sucralose, all of these sorbitol, whatever, they're all sugars. And so when they digest it, they turn into sugar, actually. And I've got people I've got patients, I've got people everywhere that have said to me they're totally addicted to Coke Zero. Totally addicted. And they can't stop Coke Zero. It's because it's addictive because of those sugars, because those sugars are 10 times sweeter than ordinary sugar.
Is that?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, yeah, exactly. So they're 10 times sweeter than sugar. You might as well have a full sugar Coke, or you might as well have sugar rather than have the sweetener, if you must. And then try and just, reduce it as you go along. But sweeteners are absolutely no, because they create cravings as well. That's the problem. They create a lot of cravings. Yeah. You can't help yourself. You need to keep having this, and they're very addictive. So that's the problem with sweeteners.
Everything you said is everything I eat. Think
Yes.
I mean,
But it's true. I used to eat like that myself. And I can tell you, if I didn't do this job, I would have diabetes. I know that.
Yeah.
Because this is what we think is healthy. You think, where we come from, we have these big old things of buttercup and margarine. It's huge, it's a big cake like that. And you buy it every month, and you're basically, spreading it on your bread, you're having all these things. I mean, it's crazy. We even had, have avocado on bread, and we put sugar on the avocado. And it's like,
Yeah.
We used to eat sugar sandwiches.
exactly. You put margarine, you put sugar, you put the bread together, and you eat it. And we used to also have sugar, like 2 or 3 tablespoons of sugar in water, and you just mix it,
oh no.
and you drink it.
No.
I heard it's good for the nerves.
Same thing. Yeah.
Someone's stressed.
So, but this is the thing, we've become so used to sugar that it's driving so many problems.
I was told not to drink full fat milk because of my cholesterol. Cheese.
Yes.
Cheese.
But Tembi, why do you think they're pushing people towards low-fat things when they're actually not that good for themselves?
Yeah, well, it's all about the food industry, isn't it?
Okay.
But right now, I think people are waking up to the fact that something is wrong. Because, we used to eat organ meats. Everyone, I don't know, but in my time, we used to eat liver,
Oh yes.
all these things. And now it's out of fashion. But all of these things actually help your probiotics, they help your stomach, and feed the microbiome that you need to digest your food. But it's gone crazy. We can't even eat that as well. So,
Can I back you up about
Yes.
doing things holistically, looking at things holistically?
yes.
Because I was tested a little while, years ago now, for close to being diabetes. I got told to get off these fatty things, like everybody said. And then, just recently, I was getting tired all the time. And doctor says you've got lack of B12 vitamins. I have to have
Yes.
boosters of B12 vitamins. And he says, to help you out, you've got to eat all the things that I just told, 12 years ago. You've got to eat fatty cheese, red meats,
Yeah, red meat, yeah.
and all that sort of thing. Which is great, because I like that. But, it's a problem in that
Yeah.
if I hadn't have been not eating them for 10 years,
Yeah.
I might not be in the problem I've now got.
Exactly. And so this is why now, everybody's like, well, how can you sit back and really be happy that this is what's happening? It's a very sad thing because, everybody thinks they're doing the right thing. You think you're eating right, you're spending all this money, you're doing all these things, and you're listening to all these messages. But actually, it's killing people left, right, and centre, and it's such a problem.
Wow.
So red meat is okay.
Yeah, you can eat red meat, yeah, absolutely.
For the vitamin B.
Yeah. And even for your iron.
For iron, that's right.
Yeah, you can eat all of that.
Okay, ladies and gentlemen, let's go to the other side and carry on.
I'm not enough to eat.
And then come back
Yeah,
here.
yeah.
Cereal every morning with an asthma. It's like a nice breakfast. So, with banana and nuts.
conversations, very useful
Yes.
in the break, so that was nice. And thank you for all the food. So now goal setting. So I'd like, if it's possible, it'd be nice to just set a goal of something you want to change. It doesn't have to be very big, just a small little thing that you can think of. But just if you, by setting a goal, you increase your motivation, you know what you're aiming for, and all these kind of things, and it helps you to focus as well. So there's an example of the goals. So, over the next 12 weeks, my goal is to lose 3 kgs in body weight, feel healthier, so my goal is lose 3 kgs in body weight so that I feel healthier and more confident. Action 1, only have starchy carbohydrates, bread, rice and pasta 1 meal a day, something like that. Or get more sleep by turning off the television and limiting mobile phone use after 9 p.m. every day, something like that.
Yeah.
And then example B, over the next 30 days, if you want to do it over the next 30 days, then you want to sleep well at least 4 days a week, feel more energized, so no coffee after 12 noon. A new bed routine of 10 minutes meditation, a bath and lighting candles every evening before bed, something like that. And then if you wanted to do over the next 6 months as well, get my blood pressure to normal, reduce my risk of a heart attack, so take a walk after work between 6 and 7 p.m. to help me de-stress while I get some daily steps. And then start the factory diet if you want to. With 500 calories days on Tuesdays or Thursdays, or use celery and cucumber as snacks. So some people have cucumber or celery and they blend it and drink that. It's good for blood pressure as well. Garlic and things like that you can blend and drink as well. Example D, 4 weeks, I feel relaxed at the end of the day, have more energy and get happier. So take 5 minutes every morning when I wake up to pray, read and practice mindfulness. And then or walk in the park for 20 minutes after lunch to break up the day and clear my head. So just come up with some goals that, even if it's one, just something, but it must be a smart goal that you can measure and you can see, what your progress is. And even if it means that you reduce your sugar by half a teaspoon for a while. So your goals, what is your goal? What would you like to see happen? And then you can say, over the next time period, this is what I want, and my goal is that. It's a measurable target you have, and then the motivation that you have. Some people's motivation is they just want to run around with my grandchildren, be able to do that. So it'll depend on what your goal is and what you want to do, and then what you're going to do, when you're going to do it, and how often. So basically, that's something for you to think about now. Because what I think would be nice is when we depart today, just think about a goal, something small that you can take away from here that you're going to change. It doesn't have to be everything. Some people say, well, I'll just change my breakfast once a week and I'll have a protein breakfast, for example, where I'll have an omelette, less bread or something, or once a week, or I'll increase my steps, or I'll do this. Just pick one thing that you think will be helpful. And then that's it, really. That's all we were going to talk about. Do you feel you've got enough information regarding to the blood sugar, the cholesterol, and the high blood pressure? Or do you still feel there's stuff you want me to go over?
I think there's enough. It's just retaining all this, remembering it all.
Yeah.
Is there any way that we can see
the slides?
Your slides.
Yeah, we can get the slides. Tesseri will, she's got the thing, and
We have recorded it on YouTube.
Oh, okay.
so you can do that. You can watch it again. But I think when we come next time, we're going to really look at the mental side. But I want also, when you come next time, to bring a food label. Anything that you eat in your house, if you bring the food label, then we can go over, because I want us to practice, you might already be able to read food labels, I don't know. But if not, just bring a food label, and then we can work through that, because I want to show you how to read a food label. So every time you go to the supermarket, you know which is high, which is low, and what to do, and all of that. So bring that, just a cutting from the cardboard, or bring the food, or whatever. And then also just remember the goal, whatever goal you've decided and thought about, and then we can focus on that when we come back next time, and then we'll talk about mental health. Because mental health is really big now, and it's a really big problem since COVID. And I think it's something that we really need to pay a lot of attention to, because it is one of the things that is getting in the way. So many people know information. And, the Bible in Hosea 4 talks about my people perish because of a lack of knowledge. But sometimes it's not even about the lack of knowledge, but it's really about application, the lack of application. So we need to start applying whatever we know to some degree. And so we read the food labels, we get to know what it is that we're eating, and then we can also think about even the mental health, because I know some people who, when they get stressed, they eat everything they can see.
And that's
Literally, because of the stress, And it's, but we need to address these things, because these are things, people might very well know, I can't eat this, this is bad food, or this is good food, or whatever. But really, when you get stressed, then it's problematic. So we need to address mental health to a huge degree, as much as possible. So I think that's the thing, our talking point for next time. And also thinking about the links. And also, Zoe brought up something very interesting, which I didn't talk about today. It was about the gut microbiome. So that's another thing we need to really focus on. Because if your stomach is not good, then nothing is going to work. So we need to get the stomach right. And also just about the vegetables that we need to eat, as much as of a variety, of a rainbow, actually. It's a rainbow that we need to focus on in terms of the colours. And challenge yourself every week to eat something slightly different, because that will feed the bacteria. Otherwise, if you eat the same thing all the time, they just don't have the food that they need. And then also, there's different kinds of bacteria in your stomach. There's some bacteria that love fatty foods. And so if you eat, or like sugary foods as well. So if you eat a lot of sugary foods and things, then they grow and they overtake, they take over the plantation, if you like. And the ones that like vegetables or some of the other vitamins and things can be killed off in the process. So what we need to do is we need to make sure that everyone has the right space in your stomach, so they're not really just doing anything they want, because then they create more cravings for those things, because they're saying, well, I'm here, I need to be fed, so give me some more sugar, give me some more crisps, give me some more of that, because they need to be fed. So we need to feed the right microbiome to get the whole spectrum right of the bacteria in the stomach. Thank you very much.
Thank you.